Knutsen's in the business of catching fish, not testing them. But after the Fukushima meltdown, his customers wanted answers about the safety of his product. So he sent 7 salmon samples off to an internationally certified lab to test for radioactive isotopes.
What did we find? We found these fish were clean and that there were 2 samples that maybe had a trace of barely detectable. So we feel very good about the results.
2 of the samples tested positive for cesium, a radioactive isotope that was released in the Fukushima meltdown, but the levels in the fish were hundreds of times below federal standards. Knutsen's data is of course just a limited sample, but his results are in line with other independent scientists who've been testing fish since Fukushima. Delvin Neville is a PhD candidate in radiation health physics at Oregon State University. He's analyzed dozens of samples of albacore tuna since the meltdown. He's found cesium levels that are so low that he's felt comfortable eating some of his samples.
Which was actually kind of fun, because then I was telling people as we were eating at the table what their approximate dose was due to Fukushima from the food they were eating, and it's this ridiculously small.
Radiation is the wrong term to use, because radiation, we're used to radiation. X-ray machines can be turned off, microwaves can be turned off, heat lamps can be turned off. Radioactivity is what we're talking about, and radioactivity cannot be turned off. That's the problem. We have no way of turning it off. And it gives off both penetrating radiation and non-penetrating radiation. The things like plutonium and tritium and carbon-14, they cannot be easily detected because they give off non-penetrating radiation. Strangely enough, those are the most dangerous things when they get inside the body.
From BBC News, Science and Environment, I'll read you the little story here, folks, and I got a couple of interesting little things to follow thereafter. Pacific bluefin tuna caught off the coast of California have been found to have radioactive contamination from last year's Fukushima nuclear accident. The fish would have picked up the pollution while swimming in Japanese waters before then moving to the far side of the ocean. And talking about far side of the ocean, wait till you see just how far these fish swim around. I got a little story here on Terry the tuna. Boy, that fish gets around. Okay, scientists stress that the fish are still perfectly safe to eat. Are they really safe to eat? I have a feeling you will no longer be eating tuna by the time you're done watching this video. It's pretty evident it's no longer safe. Okay, however, the case does illustrate how migratory species can carry pollution over vast distances, they say. Also, this is last year's tuna here. We're going to go on here. They examined the muscle tissue of 15, only 15, taken from the waters of San Diego in 2011, folks. Just a few months after the accident at Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant. Just a few months later, okay? 15 fish, okay? Just a few months later, and guess what they found? All the fish examined in the study showed elevated levels of radioactive cesium, the isotopes 134 and 137. Cesium-137 is present in seawater anyway, a result of the fallout from atomic weapons testing, but the short 2-year half-life of cesium-134 means the contamination can be tied directly to Fukushima. There is no other explanation for the isotope's presence, folks. I hope you're getting this. This is very important. As I continue on here, it says right there, the measured concentrations were about 10 times the total cesium radioactivity seen in tuna specimens taken from before the accident. 10 times. Are they perfectly safe? Ask yourself. They've gone up 10 times. All 15 of them, all 15 of the tuna, all of them were tested. They all had it, and they've all gone up 10 times. Ask yourself, okay? The research is likely to get attention because bluefin tuna is an iconic species and a highly valued fishery. Thousands of tons are landed annually, okay? Thousands of tons. But consumers should have no health concerns about eating California caught tuna from last year. Okay, great. Last year was 10 times. How much is it going to be this year? Well, they worry about that themselves here, because if you go take a look right here, okay, right here, take a look at it. The links are down below. You can go read this, pass along. Tuna caught in the coming months will be subjected to new tests. these animals would have spent much longer in Japanese waters, and so conceivably could have a very different pollution load, a very different, I guess they do have a different pollution load. Anyways, these fish get around, folks. If you don't know that, stick around, I got it here right now. You're going to find out how much Terry the tuna swims around. Boy, that fish gets around. Okay, so here it is. In 2005, the Telegraph published a story on the 25,000-mile swim down marine highway for Terry the tuna. Look at the map here as I read you the story, okay? July 24, 2012, TEPCO, cesium getting stirred up, Fukushima plant still emitting 10,000 becquerels per hour. I told you that this was an ongoing crisis. The number has not stopped. That famous 10 million becquerels of only the cesium-134, 137, when there are hundreds of other more radioactive particles spewing out of Fukushima every single hour, and I can't believe this is not talked about on the news. Your news has let you down. Ding, 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 ding. Wake up, people. Cesium measured from American green nuts. Yes, the Marusato measured cesium from pistachio imported from the U.S. 98% of American pistachios is produced in California.
You know for sure that there's hundreds of other things being released at the same time. It's like all kinds of pollution. You have to remember that we're talking here about hundreds of different materials. These are material things, these radioactive particles. And they're drifting across. Some of them are gases, by the way. Some of them are vapors, and some of them are solids.
Did you get this article? Can you see here on the bottom? The date's written there. TEPCO released on December 25th. Yeah, where were you? Certainly not watching the news. And if you were, chances are your news didn't even mention it. Okay, now fast forward October 2013. On TV, a doctor warns about radioactive substances from Fukushima coming to the West Coast in 2014. He says he considers keeping kids away from the beach, perhaps pregnant women as well. No surprise, a month later, a Yale professor comes out saying, you know, on Fukushima, it's an ongoing fallout, but it's not scary, it's not alarming, but I don't think it's safe to eat the seafood. Can he not just be straight with the folks? Like, come on. And then, you know, the Chinese, they got it figured out, because just a month later, in December 2013, China bans all imports of shellfish from the U.S. West Coast. They've got it figured out. I hope you have by now. If not, here we go, fresh off the press. Just yesterday on Energy News, it was reported that Fukushima cesium, the great old 137, cesium-137 with a half-life of 30 years, was detected in Alaska salmon sample. It's here, folks. It's not going away. And if you're paying lots of attention here, all of these stories should not be surprising to you, because in October 26 here, it was published on Energy News that a new UN report had said that 95% of the Fukushima discharges were transported in the Pacific, and the contamination was to impact North America with uncertain consequences for the public's health. That's you and I, your grandchildren, everybody. Anyways, if you still haven't figured out, I put out a map here just on Fukushima Day 995. That was on December 1st, 2013, regarding a Korean Chinese public map versus their hidden government map. You're taking a look at the government map here. As you can see, all of the Pacific Ocean is contaminated. It's going into the Indian Ocean. If you watch that video, I talk about the Great Ocean Belts. You know, they're talking about 35 years to 45 years, like I said, maybe even 55 years in my view before this is contained. Share the information with someone you love. That's all I got.
Radiation is the wrong term to use, because radiation, we're used to radiation. X-ray machines can be turned off. Microwaves can be turned off. Heat lamps can be turned off. Radioactivity is what we're talking about, and radioactivity cannot be turned off. That's the problem. We have no way of turning it off. And it gives off both penetrating radiation and non-penetrating radiation. The things like plutonium and tritium and carbon-14, they cannot be easily detected because they give off non-penetrating radiation. Strangely enough, those are the most dangerous things when they get inside the body. We're talking about hundreds of different elements, each of which has their own physical and chemical properties. Each one of these materials follows a different pathway through the biological environment, through the physical environment, and through the through our own bodies and the bodies of any living thing.
You make an excellent point. Gordon Edwards.
You cannot filter it out. It is in you. You are listening. Like when the voice inside your head says something, you are listening. It's not even a choice because it's inside, right? And it's kind of trippy to even think about it.
The bigger
you
you
are
build
listening.
the bonfire of
You are
understanding,
listening.
how can I put it?
Trippy.
The bigger you build the bonfire of understanding, the more darkness is revealed to your startled eyes. We cannot evolve beyond the confines of our language.